Kirsten, thank you so much for taking me thrifting with you. But I confess I'm a little apprehensive. Aren't secondhand clothes dirty? I mean, is it really safe to wear them?
Well, fortunately, we live in the golden era of laundry detergent and washing machines. So I do recommend that anything you buy thrifting, you should wash if possible when you get home and wash it carefully. Follow the washing instructions on the care labels inside the garments. But I have to say, with such a volume of clothing coming into thrift stores, an entire team sorting this on a regular basis, you're really only going to see the best of the best out on the sales floor. Stuff that is clean, in good condition, and really ultimately immediately wearable.
Wow, well, what else can I thrift besides clothing?
Just about anything you can imagine: home goods, throw pillows, bedding, dishes, appliances, books, craft supplies, fabric. I could go on all day. There is so much stuff at every thrift store. And what you'll find over time is certain thrift stores, once you get into your own sort of routine and circuit, will be best for certain categories of things. Like I have a favorite thrift store for books. I have another favorite thrift store for dishes. And of course, favorite thrift stores for clothes.
Well, but how do you even begin to find all this stuff?
Well, that's the thing about thrifting. You're not always going to find exactly what you want on the first try. And sometimes it's going to take a few weeks or a few stops. So here's what I do. It all starts with this little handy device, your phone. Dun, 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 dun. I keep a running list in my phone. You can use your Notes app, or you can even open a Google Doc, like download the Google Drive app. And it's all the things I'm looking for. And I add onto it as I think of things. I add sizes and measurements for specific size items like, bedding, curtains, furniture, and of course, clothing. And I always like to reference my list before I go into the thrift store just to keep it fresh in my mind because, sometimes you're looking for so much stuff that you forget about it. And of course, that's when you encounter it at the thrift store. But wait, there's more. Always bring cash. You would be surprised by how many thrift stores only accept cash, and there's nothing worse than finding all your favorite stuff, all the things on the list on your phone in one trip, and then getting up to the checkout to discover they only take cash. There's always an ATM far away. It's really stressful, and you just don't need that, right? So bring cash with you.
Okay, but I mean, how do you find clothes that fit you?
Well, once again, you're going to have your phone, which is filled with measurements of favorite items that you already own. So, for example, Karl, if you were in the market for some pantaloons, you would
As
have,
indeed I
of
am.
course, you would already have the measurements of your favorite pair of pantaloons in your phone ready to check as you get into the thrift store. But that means you need something else very important. You need a tape measure. I carry one in my purse everywhere I go because you never know when you're going to end up at a thrift store ready to measure some pantaloons. But beyond carrying a tape measure everywhere, it's really important to remember that most thrift stores closed their fitting rooms at the beginning of the pandemic and they still haven't reopened them. So either you're going to want to measure things by carrying your tape measure, or you should wear comfortable clothing that you can easily try on clothes over. So don't go in like, I don't know, with the outfit I'm wearing right now, because I'm going to have a difficult time trying on other clothes over a dress and a bonnet and an apron and whatnot. Wear, leggings, a tank top, things that are easy for trying on stuff. See, look, those look great on you. I think they're your size. Another piece of advice is that, many thrift stores do separate their clothing by sizes, but the reality is that most sizes on labels right now they're nonsense, right? So I actually look at all sizes in every section. I'm usually not looking for every type of clothing when I go shopping. I'm looking for one category of clothing specifically. So I have time.
Bonnets, for instance.
Yeah, bonnets or pantaloons. And so I'll just look at everything on the pantaloon or bonnet aisle and measure
I guess
them.
you never know, huh?
You never know because the size on labels, it's just arbitrary at this
Full
point.
plop.
I also would say that, thrifting can be really exhausting and it can be stressful sometimes, especially if the stores are really busy. So I try to skip busier times like Saturday if I can. And I always remember that I might not find the pantaloons I'm looking for at the first thrift store or even the third, and it might take me a couple weeks. But when I do find it, it'll be the best pair of pantaloons I could find.
Cheapers, Kirsten, your cart is super full. Are you actually going to buy everything in there?
Of course not. But the thing about thrifting is you got to keep flowing. So I just go down the aisles. I pick the things that I think I'd want to buy. And at the end, I do the big sort, which to me is kind of the most fun part of the whole thing, especially if you have a friend like you along, Karl, who can help me talk through what I'm going to do. So I always ask myself these questions. Will I really wear this? I have a bad habit of buying bathrobes that I think I can wear as a dress. And then I just need someone to tell me that no, they obviously are a bathrobe.
I'm here for you, Kirsten.
I appreciate that, Karl. Don't let me buy another bathrobe that I think looks like a dress.
I mean, friends don't let friends.
Next, I ask, will I really use this? Because there's a lot of cool stuff to be found thrifting. And sometimes you get in that scarcity mindset where you're like, oh my goodness, I might never see this again. So I have to really have a critical conversation with myself. Will I really use this? Where will this live in my house? This is really important with tchotchkes and wall art and stuffed animals and bits of furniture and things like that. Like, do I really have space for this? Or am I just buying it because it's cool and it's right here? And the last thing I ask, which, seems like a silly question, but do I really need or want this? Or am I just caught up in the moment? Because thrift shopping is really exciting.
Exhilarating.
Right? It is, and you never know what you're going to find along the way. So I call this catch and release. If I don't have a real use for it or really truly need or want it, release it back into the wild so someone else can have their best thrift find ever. Well, Karl, I think we've reached the point in our thrifting where we can go get some tacos.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. All this thrifting has really made me hungry.